Good morning at 10:28. Kidding, 10:58 in the mornings. 10:58 in the morning on a Saturday in a small town, going to another small town for some volleyball fun. I'm just keeping an eye on one of my former players. Because technically I did coach him, but he did all of the heavy lifting himself, and he's having a ton of success this year on a really good team at the highest level. So it's pretty exciting, just as a fan. But I can't help feeling like I'm not very much responsible for any of his success, which seems to be like a common theme amidst my coaching career. The other player that went D1 from technically under my reign was I never have felt like I've been able to claim any of part of his success and whatnot. It just kind of starting to learn it depends whom your family is, because that's going to dictate what your work ethic is, and it's going to open some doors as far as if you want to play on in the next level. And both these players, the first one had siblings that went on and played at the same school he would eventually play at, and then this most recent one, his dad was a star and played at the Division I level and won a championship. So it's exciting, but also it makes sense too. And I think I've just been searching all these years for, I guess, just a connection with my players that I can feel good about, like I actually did something to help them. And you know what? Now I say that, it's not that I haven't had any players like that. There has been some, but as a high school coach, you don't feel like you make as big an impact as club coaches or directors or parents. And sometimes parents are all three. They're the club coaches and the directors and the high school coaches. And my most recent the guy that's doing it now, his dad was there pretty much every step of the way, and obviously it was helpful, and they could make the right connections, and he could help his son through that, as he had gone through that whole process before. And no shade to that father. He was a great mentor to me and a great coach alongside me, and we're going to be coaching continuing from this point forward. But I think I just realized this morning as I was watching, it's also quite a feat just to get yourself to the next level of athletics, and you really have to be dedicated mentally. You really have to want it, and then realize you're going to come into contact with a bunch of other players that also have the same intentions, and people don't go to the next level to be bench warmers. Everybody wants to play, and also everybody was the stud or one of the studs at their previous club team or high school. And so now it's all the greatest talents are combining at a few places around the country, and pretty exciting to see someone from a small town like ours go ahead and do it. We maybe get one or two every season, but it doesn't seem like all of them pan out as much. But there's also two other guys from two of the other schools, all kind of chipping away at some success at this next level. So one's I'd say is a mid-major, and the other one's a major that's won a championship in the last six years or so. Yeah. So pretty cool. And I think my interpretation of the game sometimes is viewed through a fan's eyes instead of a coach's eyes. And I think I kind of fell into coaching. It was a good opportunity, and I've never left because I'm such a fan of the sport. But I don't know as much progress as a coach I've made as much as I just enjoy the sport, and I'm engrossed in it. As a fan, definitely, I watch a ton, and I think I've learned from observation a ton over the years. But it just feels like a fake way to be a successful coach, if that makes any sense. I think probably because I don't have a playing career to back any of that up. I never try to be a sand player. I don't play sand currently. Never really. A few times over the years, like a lot more when I was younger, but I've never enjoyed sand volleyball as much as indoor, not even close. I just love the aspect of there being 6 guys or 6 girls, and the sheer force that a ball can be struck back or blocked or dug. It's a lot more physical of a sport. Not that sand isn't, but sand is half finesse and half physicality, whereas I feel like indoor is about 70% physicality and 30% finesse and volleyball IQ and whatnot. But it's just always struck me as more entertaining and more fun. So that's where I've always gravitated towards the indoor than the beach. But yeah, I didn't even really touch the floor for 5 or 6 years after high school. I don't even think I went to any open gyms or anything. I know I checked at a few. I think I watched a few matches here and there, but I just mentally and physically took a good 5 or 6, maybe 6.5 year break from the sport altogether. And I think coming back to town and then being back in the gym and seeing and hearing and then playing again. So when I came back and started playing again, and by playing I mean I started coaching, and a lot of the early parts of coaching is you just being an older dude playing and then just being there and giving little tips here and there. But I was like 24, 25, so I still had plenty of spring and diving capability. And I had never played at that age either. It's pretty interesting to think about that from the ages of, I never played indoor volleyball from the ages of 19 to 24 and a half. I don't know how much fun it could have been at some of my peak physical capabilities had I been in shape or whatnot. I'm pretty sure I was overweight at that time. And enjoying the college life a little bit too much. But yeah, so when I got back into volleyball, I was definitely well rested mentally and physically, and so it was pretty easy just to be super excited and jacked about all that. And then having the type of talent and experience that I was blessed with that first team made it so fun, because we won almost every match except for one, I believe. I think we ended the season on a loss, but we won all 3 tournaments and every match up until that point. So it's a pretty special way to start a coaching career. albeit I never had any illusions that I was the reason for any of that success or a lot of that success. I just happened to be the one adult leading the charge from the sidelines, and it was so much fun. So I got spoiled with so much winning, and I had a lot of those kids the next season when I was helping with the JV team. So I got really spoiled with a lot of success early on, and that it's hard not to have fun when you're winning all the time. And this is not to say that I haven't. There's been seasons where we've been extremely down, because we haven't. Even at our quote-unquote like worst seasons, we were still pretty decent, all things considered. But why was I talking about all this? Just wanted to just say I'm kind of having a tough time like getting like taking myself out of the equation and focusing on the players and their success, and not making it be so much about me, which I feel like for the longest time has been why I've been doing this, for my own selfish and egotistical reasons, which makes me think some people live their whole life just doing what their ego their whole life doing what their ego tells them, or just doing things to satisfy their ego. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. It seems like ego is always talked about in a negative light, but maybe that's the way to success, is being super, real success maybe? I'm not sure. But it feels icky, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, having a big ego or like being cocky, I dropped something out of my pocket, so I can see it, but I don't think I should try and get it right now. It seems dangerous, so I'll just do that later. And probably why I don't want to come across that way is because I don't think I excel in that trait. I can't really point to one thing that I've been, I guess, super successful at in my life, which can make you sad to say those things, but I also have to always balance, and I've been trying to keep myself, aware that you have to balance the scales, and you have to remind yourself that maybe what you wish you had got, you don't deserve because you didn't work that hard for it, and that you have a super fortunate life, and you don't come from a ton of despair growing up. And I guess that's just, I struggle having to accept those things, and then accept that I've never really feel like I've grinded super hard in my entire life. And now trying to balance that with a wife and 3 kids, and not feel guilty about being away or doing this or focusing on that. It can be a struggle for me mentally to appease everyone. And I guess it just kind of depends on whom you're finding comfort in listening to, and whose opinions you're finding value in. But I'm starting to think that changes from day to day, because there's some days lately where I just have not very much motivation to go out and coach and do this stuff, and that it might be easier to just be a father that works and makes his life revolve around his kids. But also there's other days where I'm glad I have that something I'm passionate about, and it seems like maybe my passion is just volleyball in general, and not as much coaching volleyball. And I don't know. It's a little bit difficult. There's a cop on the side flashing lights. So last week I saw 2 people pulled over on the freeway, and then another one right as I got off the freeway. So I'm trying to be good and drive the speed limit, and I have time, so I will do just that. But basically what I'm trying to accomplish with this whole podcast that goes out to 5 and 10 people possibly from time to time is just kind of chew on all these things I'm thinking about, and chew on them out loud. And at least if it makes me feel a little bit better in the moment or at the day of, then it's worth it. And if it's something I can come back to years down the road, then that'll be good. And if it's just helping me practice discussing my life, which I don't tend to like to do very much, if it's only discussing with myself, then that's helpful also. And I know I've got a lot of insecurities, and maybe if I talk with them about myself, to myself, maybe I can improve some of those insecurities. But I just don't, I guess I just don't feel comfortable going and talking to a therapist just yet. Or it could just be another situation where I'm, at the end of the day, pretty lazy to pull the trigger on important stuff like that. And I mean, I still have a cracked windshield and I'm trying to get that taken care of, but not for me, but for my family. I guess they'd like to see it better taken care of. Which, again, like, they're right. Why don't I just do it? But that must be my thing that I just don't do. Like, I harp on some of my players for not communicating with me about when they're going to miss or when they're not going to be at practice or matches, and then they don't. But maybe that's their, like, biggest ultimate fear, is to not do that. And so they don't. Which I can understand that. What really I don't like is they give me an excuse like they forgot, when cell phones are such a big part of everyday life now that it's a pretty poor excuse to say you forgot amidst all your checking your text messages. But I go assuming everyone is as connected with their phone and with their communication as I do. There's got to be plenty of people that their phone is just for when they need to contact or talk to someone, and then maybe it goes in their pocket or in their car, in their backpack, a great portion of the day. I am not that way as much. I'm pretty connected most of the day, and I know that's a bad thing. I know that I'm starting to really realize that I am addicted to my cell phone because it allows me plenty of entertainment, and I've figured into a job where I can work and listen to podcasts or music, or even listen to movies and halfway watch them, and I can do that, and it's a bad habit, and it's just not the way that things would have went 20 and 30 years ago. Shoot, not even really 10 years ago. But for a person like me that was, all things considered, I'd say addicted to television when I was a little boy, and that would usually be my first. If I had my opportunity of relaxing, I would watch TV quite a bit, and I unfortunately still do. And TV is YouTube and streaming services and movies and that, and I put that all under one umbrella. But it is a big part of, and I love watching sports. I mean, football and volleyball are my favorite sports to watch for sure, but been a pretty avid football fan since like probably the middle or towards the end of college and up until now. And it's, I just dedicate so much time to that stuff, and I've really grown to just really like to watch by myself, which I guess I just don't like being bothered, I guess, at all. And I'm not sure where that lies on the sociability scale, but I've definitely realized and figured out that I either don't want to be around a bunch of people very often, or I want to do something where I guess I feel like I'm in control, and so I have that comfortability level. But I was just talking to my wife the other day about that, where I was referencing an episode or some stand-up clip of Seinfeld where he talks about everybody's obsession with like getting ready and going out and getting dressed, put on the fancy shoes and the clothes, and then getting the cab and getting all this preparation and planning to get places. And then as soon as you get there, you either mentally come to the conclusion or say out loud, or when are we getting out here, and when do we go back home? And so I can totally sympathize with that feeling of, I guess, just feeling more comfortable being at home, like being a homebody. And I don't feel like that's ever painted in the best light, and that I'm just surrounded by people, like, or if you want to have like friends with kids, like you have to be doing a million things all the time. And unfortunately, my wife and I, we're both kind of homebodies, and we both have to work full time, and then I do this coaching also, so I've just not built out a network of friends with kids over the years, as I've always prioritized our like downtime as like it's just not being proactive to go out and go to places and do stuff. Not because of, I mean, partially because we don't have a ton of money to spend on a ton of activities that involve money, but also that's just not our comfort zone. And I carry a lot of guilt in that aspect, because it's not my kids' choice to be at home a lot. It's kind of dependent on us. And I feel bad as I'm kind of just bitching about this year after year, but I don't ever seem to make a real effort to change that. And I could really focus right now, and I could probably make myself cry and self-deprecate and make myself feel like the biggest piece of shit, which oftentimes I do. Not because I'm like a terrible person, but I feel like I just fall into this just mediocre middle ground throughout my whole life, where I'm not reaching for the stars, but I'm not like scraping the barrel in the bottom. And it doesn't seem like society ever, lets it be okay to be there, because I don't feel like it's okay being here. but the two polar opposites seem like they're accepted. And I could just be, turning over another year in the brain of someone that's just way too concerned with what other people think. And I'm sure that's a huge part of it. I'm sure that's definitely part of my issue, that I shouldn't care what other people think as much, but unfortunately I do, and I'm very anxious and unsure of what to say in a conversation a lot of the times, unless it's in my comfort zone, which is a very small aisle. Sports and kids, like having children and entertainment, and I don't know, like I just don't feel like doing homework on politics so I can talk about politics to somebody just so that I have something to say, so that I feel accepted. Now, it doesn't seem like the right move. But here I am, 41 years old, and I didn't really ever place too much thought into that. And skateboarding, but I don't hardly do that anymore. I watch a lot of skate content still, but I don't find myself on the board very much anymore. It's because I don't want to get hurt. There's another thing, kind of wish I had stayed on it more and introduce that to my kids. And I'm not super concerned about them and their ability to move on through this world, but I am also. And I think I'm just concerned with, I don't know if I'm the greatest leader at this point, and it kind of has always messed with me as a coach. Once I became the varsity coach, I think in my head I was excited about it just to compete at a higher level and be like coaching the kids that quote unquote knew what was going on, but also, what am I trying to say? I don't know. It's a lot of grunt work to put a season together. It's not really, but it's just I'm the guy that the buck stops with. Like, everything kind of flows back to me, and I wear just so many hats that I never realized the head coach ahead of me that he was doing. Maybe he just never complained about it, but it becomes a little bit much. I kind of figured I would have it figured out after all these years, and I do, but I just don't appreciate the game I play with myself, where I hold it off, and it's like I don't know when the right time to pull the trigger is, and I do, and it's always with plenty of time, but I guess I've just never felt comfortable be the one in leadership position, like calling the shots. And I'm the younger of two siblings, so I never had a younger sibling. I guess I never really had anybody under me, like a little brother or sister that I had to feel responsible for. And perhaps that's why this part of parenting and maybe coaching is just so foreign to me, because I've never felt like a natural born leader. I'm definitely a follower, and that also makes the world around us will make you feel like you're a piece of shit for not wanting to be a leader all the time. But I guess we wouldn't have leaders if we didn't have followers, something like that. I've been super lucky that I've surrounded myself with good people quite a bit, and I do have 2 great assistant coaches this year that definitely know more about the sport than I do, and I've kind of latched onto that saying that great coaches they always have great coaches around them, and I've definitely replaced a couple assistants with a couple good assistants, maybe even better in my eyes, because they're not super connected to the program, but they both played collegiately and they understand the game in a way that I don't, and that's super helpful if some of my kids aren't playing club, or even if they are playing club. A club exists there for you to, I guess, compete in town to get some extra reps outside of the season, and then you get better because you're playing more often, if you can afford it too. But it doesn't mean the trickle down of coaching is going to always be stellar. I feel like it's been pretty good for the most part over the years, but I think a lot, you can't learn without doing. So not sure where I'm going from here. I mean, I'm going to the Nard for another preseason scrimmage, and I think I've been telling myself that remember, it's supposed to be fun first, and I think I have to stop telling myself I'm going to try and do things super differently this year, and let my assistant coaches coach, and let myself do what I do, which is, be happy and hoot and holler on the sidelines, and I guess just be an encouraging coach. It's probably been my best trait, is just to be annoying on the sideline, annoying to the opposition and helpful to my kids. I don't know if it truly is helpful, but I guess just find a way to put teenagers at ease, and so that they have fun and they play super hard at the same time, and finding a way to bring that blurry line like real close to itself. I guess the credit I take for is I coordinate a season and get us matches and uniforms and whatnot, and coordinate the schedule and a practice schedule, and just do all the managerial stuff and kind of coach from the sidelines. And if I do that, and God willing, we successfully put up a banner, I'll at least feel partially accomplished. But I'm starting to realize that it's not as big of a deal to everybody or to the world as I'm making it to myself. That the banner will go up, and I'll know what it took to get that, and I'll know that I was part of that. But most people really won't care or know, outside of the few people that were there. But I think I'll be satisfied, and it'll be something I can look to be proud of on my deathbed, hopefully, which is in like 60 years. But I don't know if that's gonna answer any questions I have about myself. Winning a banner, I think it would give my parents something to brag to other people about, not in an extremely like shitty or braggadocious way, but some accomplishment their child made that they can talk about with joy, that'll let people know that their children are doing something that they love also. They have kids that are passionate about stuff. And I try not to like beat myself up or you know, put myself as a fly on the wall when I think about these situations when my parents are talking to other people about their oldest son who owns his house and owns a business and has 2 sons that are doing stellar in baseball and soccer and just, you know, went to Hawaii for 3 weeks and hunted and killed 2 wild boars, and the list is pretty extensive, and it's pretty awesome for. I think I'm gonna change subjects. I was about to start crying about my brother's accomplishments, which I'm not sad because it's not me. I'm just happy for him. So. Saw the train go by. Probably from San Diego or Long Beach or something. That would be fun, I think. Yet again, though, it's like I don't know if I want to drop all that money, but it's just money, so maybe you should. I think I'm just gonna end right here.